Hello team player, and welcome back to another Starfinder build. Today we're continuing my Starship crew party with the Chief Medical Officer. Let's dive in. We'll be using the primal spell list for this build, which means we can do a lot. But the main focus of this build is going to be healing. Healing and buffing. But since we do have the primal list, we can also do a bit of blasting as well. This build will also allow you to do a bit of summoning, and it will also let you help with skills, not just attack rolls. For today's Ancestry, we're going to go with the Shirin, the insect-like people. Shirins make excellent mystics, and that's what we're building today. For our heritage, we're going with the winged Shirin. We eventually do want to be able to fly in this build, but a lot of our goal is going to go towards crafting medical items. We don't want to have to spend money on something like a jetpack. Right now, this is mainly just going to help us with our jumping. But we also don't take fall damage, regardless of how far we fall, as long as we can act. With this, we don't need to stride to actually jump, and we can jump higher, as long as we're not paralyzed or something, which can come in very handy in certain situations, depending on your campaign. For attributes, wisdom and dexterity are going to be your most important. Wisdom is what your spells are going to go off of, and dexterity for defense. I also recommend you put some points into constitution so that you don't have to heal yourself as much, which means you can save your vitality network for your allies and not yourself. Intelligence might also be a good one to put some points into, especially if you're wanting to do some recall knowledge with this. Although our mechanic does cover those skills quite nicely. As for skills, the only ones you're really going to need for this build are medicine and nature. Nature is very important because that's our connection skill, and that determines how many points from our vitality network we get back every turn, which is a huge deal. And obviously we're going to need medicine outside of combat because we need to be able to heal when we don't have focus points. Other than that, you are going to want to be trained in crafting so you can make pharmaceutical items as well. Beyond that, you can pretty much take what you want when it comes to skills. And of course, there's only one Starfinder class that makes any sense for a Chief Medical Officer, and that is the Mystic. And for our connection, we're going to be going with the Elemental connection. This will give us a lot of defensive buff spells, which is going to help a lot. For now, we get Recharged Weapon, which is pretty decent, actually. But later on, we're going to be able to take feats like Spirit Guardians and Fire Shield. But our Harmony means anytime that we use our Vitality Network to heal an ally, they get to add some elemental persistent damage to their attacks. Because in Starfinder 2e, the machines are kind of the grunt enemies, so we can choose, like, if we choose air and have them do persistent electricity damage. And machines are generally weak to electricity. Plus, other types of creatures may be weak to other types of damage, and this feat allows us to pick basically any damage type, except for, like, vitality and void damage. But we can already do that, so not a huge deal. We also get the Elemental Weapon Focus spell, which essentially means no one in the party even really needs a weapon. We can just make a weapon, and we can just have it appear in the hands of any of our bonded creatures, which is basically going to be the entire party. And this is better than your standard weapon because it does its normal damage plus 1d4 additional damage depending on what element you pick when you cast the spell. And this is a focus spell, which is nuts. This effectively means that any ally in the party can hit an enemy weakness regardless of what weapon they're using. And this is a tactical grade weapon, which means it does more damage. And if we heighten the spell, it goes up to Advanced, Superior, Elite, Ultimate, and even Paragon. This is basically the equivalent of Runic Weapon on steroids. But you don't even have to target a weapon. You just make the weapon. It is a fantastic first rank focus spell. We are playing a spellcaster for this build, which means no first level feat. But we do get a second level feat, known as Spot Healing. When we use our Vitality Network, we can now heal hit points equal to twice our level. But this does cost points from our Vitality Network equal to the amount we healed plus 2. This is a reaction, so we can only use this once per turn. But this can help a lot, as even a little bit of healing can be the difference between life and death. For our level 3 general feat, we don't want to take Canning Acumen yet, because we're already going to be an expert in reflex saves here, and we're going to get expert in fortitude saves at level 5. So we're taking, again, Die Hard or Toughness, one of the two. They're both really going to help with our survivability, so you can pick which one you want here, but one of those two. For level 4, I've gone with another reaction, Bond Boost. If an ally within 20 feet of you is about to make a saving throw, you can spend 4 points from your Vitality Network to give them a +2 status bonus on that saving throw. Also, if they roll a success against a Vitality or a Void effect, then they get a critical success instead. This works on anything that requires a saving throw. It doesn't even have to be a spell. As long as it requires a saving throw, you can use this on it. It does take quite a bit of points to do this, but if it's a Vitality or a Void effect, they're not going to take any damage. Better than having to heal just a little bit of the damage they deal. And they might get that critical success anyway against any effect that requires a saving throw. A +2 is a significant boost, especially at this low of a level. For our level 5 Ancestry feat, we're going to be taking Eager Assistant. This gives us an extra reaction per turn, but we can only use the extra reaction for the Aid reaction. Aid is an awesome reaction and should be used a lot more than it actually is. A +1 to a +4, depending on what skill you're using, is always really good, regardless of what level you're at. It does take an action to prepare to aid, but you're a spellcaster. A lot of times you may not need to move at all, so that's something you can do on your third action after you cast your spell. Since we're pretty much guaranteed to be an expert in medicine at this point, we might as well also take New Epiphany. And the connection we want is the Healing Connection. This will give us the Infusion focus spell, which is basically the heal spell, but it heals a little less, but only affects bonded creatures. As in, we can do the 3-action version of Infusion and only heal our allies. In my opinion, this is just a more versatile version of the heal spell, which the heal spell is already insane. It does heal less damage than the heal spell, but that's understandable because it's a focus spell. This way, we can actually save our actual heal spells for situations when we don't have focus points, which we're going to run into sometimes. Plus, this combined with our Vitality Network will make our allies very hard to take down. And this focus spell heightens pretty much exactly the same way that the heal spell does. And it automatically heightens because it's a focus spell. It's a very good way of keeping our allies and ourselves up, which is always a good thing. At level 7, of course, we do get our next general feat, which of course is going to be the one we didn't take at level 3, Die Hard or Toughness, one of the two. Of course, also at this level, we get our advanced Epiphany spell, Elemental Barrier. This spell effectively gives one bonded creature a shield that gives a +1 bonus to AC. It also allows them to use the shield block feat while the spell is active. The shield starts with 6 hardness and 40 hit points. That goes up as you heighten the spell. When you cast the spell, you're going to choose an element. The shield has 2 extra hardness against effects from that element. Also, unlike a normal shield block, you can use this spell's reaction to block damage from spells of that trait. So, if you choose fire for this, you can use shield block against something like a fireball. This is a very, very good defensive option that needs to be used, especially if you're going up against other spellcasters. And you can use this on any of your bonded creatures. So, basically any of your allies. since you can have up to 10 in your Vitality network. For our level 8 class feat, we're going to be taking Radiant Bonds. This allows us to heal all of our allies with our Vitality network without spending additional actions. This effectively gives the entire party fast healing every single round, as long as you have points in your Vitality network, which you get them back every turn, so that's pretty nice. Our level 9 Ancestry feat is when we're going to pick up basic insectile flight. This allows us to once per day, for 10 minutes, fly at a speed equal to 10 plus our land speed. We can end this prematurely for one action. Being able to fly is a big deal in Starfinder, but we don't want to have to waste money on something like a jetpack. I mean, we can only do this once per day for 10 minutes, but if we go higher than level 10, we'll be able to take advanced insectile flight, and then we can fly as much as we want. We will be at level 13, and that's kind of high, but we need those other feats too. And the last feat I'm going to cover in this video is Xeno Druid Bond. This is where we'll get our summon spell, because we pick a order, a Xeno Druid order, and we get extra spells as part of that. And we want to pick up the plant order here, so we get Summon Plant or Fungus as a first level spell. We may also want to make that one of our signature spells, so we can summon bigger plants or funguses. Verdant Code can also be very effective, especially if you run into a lot of computers. And finally, we can just turn into a plant and start attacking people if we want. And because of the way that form spells work, you're not even going to need high strength for this. All these spells are very effective in the right situation, but it does depend on what you're facing, so you may want to pick a different order here. Although, we don't want to pick elemental order here because we already have everything that gives us. As for spells, you're not really going to need much else other than the heal spell. You can basically pick what you want. I mean, you could be a blaster with this, absolutely, because you do have the primal list. There's things like Fireball and Lightning Bolts, even cantrips like Electric Arc on the primal list. There are even spells to lower enemies' movement speeds or debuff them. You're not going to need many buff spells because a lot of that is covered by your class features. Bottom line is you're going to be using actions on your Vitality network basically every single turn, so you're not going to need as much healing as you think you are. So you can do a lot with this build just from having the primal list, because it is the most versatile list in the game. So you have a lot of options when it comes to spells. And that's the build. If you guys enjoyed this video, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe if you want more Starfinder 2e teamwork content. You can also, of course, check out my other channel, Team Player Gaming, if you're more interested in Pathfinder content. And if you're interested in the mechanic that goes with this build, you can absolutely check out this video here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, teamwork is vital. It helps us solve problems.